Everybody,
I
hold
mean,
on 1 second.
okay,
I think we are back. Y'all let me know if we are back. Y'all let me know in the chat because I think my computer is back up. It usually takes a minute to kind of get back to where it was or whatever. So, where's my chat at? Where is my chat? You see this thing don't even want to show me my chat. But I think we're back up, Marshall. You can start talking again. But where's my
okay.
chat? I don't want to see this crap that's up here. Oh, God. It would do something stupid to me. Go ahead, Marshall. You can finish your comment, though. We're up.
Okay, I'm going to finish up saying this. I wanted to ask you this question. In the book, of course, she's basing castes on three main castes. Ours, those from India, and what happened during World War II with the Jews.
Uh-huh.
Do you think she should have added in, because the Jewish Holocaust was in a relatively short amount of time. In the beginning, they did have slave labor, but in the second part of the Nazi regime, it was all about the annihilation of the Jews. So therefore, forget like caste. If you were Jewish at all, you were meant for extermination. You were meant for death. Do you think that should have been equated in this? Because using the example again of the mud seal, and caste being bones, if we still make the country run, due to the fact of our bottom caste, and it's like you have to have us to make sure that these other like castes run. So, do you think that should have been equated in there, and not to disrespect it, but I'm thinking that that wasn't on the traditional lines of a caste in the way that the Dalits being based in religion and Hinduism, and ours, being based on slavery. So, just that last little part, I'm gonna get off the line. I love talking to you offline and so forth. As always, I give you roses whenever I'm on, sis. So, love you, and I'll speak to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, fam.
Whenever I'm on, sis. So,
I do think, what is going on with this? But I do think that like it's not the traditional caste because the Jewish community wasn't meant to. It's kind of like Marlon says, it wasn't meant to. It wasn't meant to build up the Germans as much as it was meant to like, yeah, we're gonna bottom cast you until we kill you. I think that's kind of a different thing, and so I do think that's a different designation. Like in terms of long term, we were meant to kind of be long term the bottom cast here. That's not the same thing that was happening there. So I do think there is room for some kind of distinction. We were meant to like just be almost dead for a long time until we could be all the way dead, right? And then I think they kind of figured like, well, we can still keep them on the bottom. We can just but we can't keep looking like we oppress people. So how do we not look like we oppress people and still have ADOS on the bottom? Well, we'll bring in people that look like ADOS. We'll just bring in other brown people from all over, and so people won't know. So they'll think there's upward mobility where there is none. They'll think those brown people are just like ADOS when those brown people are white people. That's interesting. But anyway, fam, let me try to go to the next call to get a couple of calls before the internet fall out again. Internet keep falling out sick. 805, I'm coming to you. 805, what is your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, this is Rosalind. I'm calling from Southern California.
What's going on?
Nothing much. I want to say thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to hit a few things quickly.
Okay.
First, I did enjoy the story that she talked about when Dr. King was perturbed at first when he was referred to or introduced to the untouchable as a fellow untouchable. That was funny.
Yeah, he was like, me, I'm untouchable. Yeah, Negro, they've been hitting you in the head with rocks and dogs been sicking on you. What you mean? Yes, you untouchable. If y'all don't know what she's talking about. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
We are an untouchable, class. So that was very interesting. Then I want to move on to just right quick on 103, and I'm not going to read it, but on 103 toward the bottom, when she talked about the hierarchy that evolved in the New World that created that the lighter skin would be like above the darker skin, and then the darker skin would be subordinate.
Yeah, when someone goes to biblically she goes, yeah.
Okay, so I just felt that the book was good, but to me, I do agree with the previous caller to me, I feel that we are more comparison to the Untouchables or the Dalits in India, not what happened in Nazi Germany. Because we are meant to be used, not to be exterminated. We were used for wealth. We were used to create wealth. The Jews, the whole final solution was to eradicate the earth of the Jews. So to me, I believe that we're just closer to the Untouchables. But this is what I felt that, to me, she didn't really focus on. She talked about the dominant, we're the subordinate, and then kind of like a buffer caste. But she doesn't talk about the caste within the caste. And she doesn't really talk about the ADOS or the subordinate caste that was also a buffer caste. So she doesn't really get into colorism.
That's true. That's what I mentioned. Yeah, she doesn't get into that, and she doesn't.
And so to me,
go ahead, fam. I'm sorry.
No, but to me, you know, I had a quick conversation with a family member. Most of my family members are lighter complexion. I'm a caramel complexion. My children are your complexion. And we were talking about how successful my grandmother's generation, which was the greatest generation, and how they were able to buy homes and get jobs, and they dealt with Jim Crow, but things were a little easier. And she said, well, wow, I wonder why that was so. And I said, because they were all light-skinned.
Yep.
And so people, they don't really want to address that issue that within, it may be different than South Africa, but the lighter-skinned whites tolerated them a little more and felt a little more comfortable around them. Absolutely. Another thing I felt that was different in the comparison right quick is that the Untouchables, they are truly untouchable. The higher the Brahmins or whatnot, they won't even touch them. And you saw how it gave examples when they walked, they had to have a veil on or have to have something to kind of like...
You know what the worst was, though? You know what the worst was to me? The school kid who, like, the teacher wouldn't grade their work because they were Dalit, so they wouldn't even touch the paper. So they couldn't even have their work graded. The heck?
And so in the United States, our caste system was a little differently because, like, my grandmother told me her mother and her aunt, they were wet maids, which are the women who breastfeed the wealthy whites' children. They were wet maids for the wealthy whites in the South. So to me, and we touched and we raised white families' children in the South. So we are the bottom caste, but it's a little different. It's kind of like it's a schizophrenic caste because you're allowing this black woman to nurse your child. To
and
raise your child. You would never
allow a Dalit or untouchable to nurse your child. That's right. You're right.
Never. And then a quick thing, because I called you one time about me traveling the world and how there is colorism throughout the world. It's a lot of Indians in my community. These Brahmin, they love my children. And it's because they're light-skinned. They want them to come over and play. They always want to be friends with my children because they're light complexion.
You know, I was talking to somebody about something like that. I was talking to somebody about visiting the country, right? I won't say which, and I said, well, I don't know if I visit that country, they tend to have a problem with black people. And the person said, no, they have a problem with darker black. They don't have, no, you'll be fine, you're light skinned. And so I do think that goes unacknowledged, right? Because even with the Brahmins, they're typically lighter skinned people, and you see the Untouchables and they're dark and they get really dark, right? And they can be to us like, oh my God, that's you're beautiful, but to them it's something else.
Yes, you know, and you can even look at a lot of the violence and the men being killed. Usually, they are dark brown or dark skinned black men.
Yeah,
you rarely see a light skinned black man with green eyes, somebody with their foot on the neck.
Yeah.
And so I just think that's something that we need to explore. But thank you for your work. I really appreciate, and I totally support reparations.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. Thank you. I do think that would have been a good kind of exploration. Because I think she had room to do it. Because I think there was some fluff in the book, movies and stuff like that. I think there was enough fluff in the book that if you take out the fluff, you have room to kind of explore a little bit the caste within caste and colorism, and how colorism actually is kind of a reflection of white supremacy within race, because the closer you are and the lighter you are in terms of having the proximity to whiteness, because that's what lightness is. People view it as a proximity to whiteness, right? Light, bright, almost white. That's what that is. So, and how that makes you preferred by the upper caste and what that has meant. There was room to do a few pages on that, and that would have been good. I'm going now to 203. 203, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette.
Hey.
I'm so glad that you're Michael. I'm listening for many years, and this is the first time I'm calling. And thanks for what you and Antonio do. So I've got some bullet points.
Okay, I can't hear you really good. You're muffled a little. You're muffled a little bit to me. You know, you
Hello?
gotta talk. I said you muffled a little bit to me. You have to talk because you know the internet can cut out at any moment.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you better now. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. So I've got some bullet points. And I'm going to start with the negative. I hated the first few chapters, and I think I put that on Twitter, that the first few pages, it was all about Trump, and I didn't like the implication, especially given the theme in this book, that all of these things started happening when Trump got to be president.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like a political project to me, and that and other little spots. There were times when, after having built a specific case for the unique oppression that we've gone through, she'd add a little, and indigenous people, or and women, or whatever. And I felt like I was reading for a white editor putting that stuff in there that made no sense,
Yeah.
in the context of everything else that she said.
Yeah.
I was struck by the fact that reparations are not discussed, considering that she has been doing interviews and saying that she agrees that reparations ought to be given, and that reparations are owed.
Oh, has she?
Why is she? She has. Why is she doing that? Why is she saying that? And she didn't able to put it in her book. Which would explain my other gripe. She doesn't cite Harry. There was a point where she was.
She said she didn't do what? She didn't do what, Carla? She didn't do what?
She did not cite Dr. Darity's work when she was laying out the economic realities that are manifestations of caste. She could have said, we have this data and whatever, because she was that kind of thorough with other things, but not with economics.
Mm.
He's the authority, and I wondered if that was a political choice.
I don't think so. I think we have to. Isn't she like a journalist more than like a I think I would feel differently if she was an economist or historian or something like that. That's why there was a lot of fluff in terms of the Matrix and all this kinds of stuff. I think that's part of why we had that in the book, is because she comes from where does she come from? From newspapers, right? So I think that's why we had some of that. And I think wasn't there a co-writer or something with The Warmth of Other Suns? So I kind of think that's why we had. I don't think that was a slight or a disrespect. I think she took general data and didn't drill down into the economics enough to do that. And if you were to cite Darity, it would kind of look away. If you cite Darity and don't mention reparations, it really looks away.
Right. And that's why I felt like she was staying away from it and didn't even want to get close. At one point, she cited some article in Slate, and that Slate article was really just a treatment of the case for reparations by Ta-Nehisi Coates. She didn't even cite Coates, which I thought was interesting.
Because she didn't really want to talk about reparations. I think that's why she stayed away from all of it.
Yeah. And can I say that one of the things that kept jumping out at me was that I kept writing this in my notes. Government did this to us. This could not have happened to us without government's almost explicit, well, certainly and times explicit help. The jury discrimination that went on, but even little things like there was a chilling line that kids were let out of school early on lynching days. Um, and so, this couldn't have happened. This is not individual bigotry. This is a concerted effort on the part of the government we pay taxes to.
Yeah, the government. Yeah,
And it just hit home.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Um, and also, in light of what Marlon was talking about the 12-year duration of the Jewish Holocaust, first of all, I think that we are in the midst of the end game of a genocide. If they don't have any use for us anymore, and they might as well, they don't care if we die out. I keep thinking, why are we not calling this a Holocaust? How is this not a Holocaust? What we're going through.
Yeah. Well, I think what we're going through has been a lot of things. It's been a Holocaust. It's been an oppression. It's been a slavery. It's going through all the evolutions of an oppression that you can go through, different kinds. I think we have the fact that we're still alive. We've gone through all of it, right? Like 400 years compared to however long, when you talk about colonialism, however long the Holocaust, and like everybody says that we don't deserve anything. It is like I don't understand how people don't understand, like when people talk about the least of the least, that's us. Not because people say, well, people have less around the world, but nobody has gone through what we've gone through in the most mechanized white supremacist nation in the world. Nobody's ever experienced that. What do you mean? I'll let you finish, fam.
A model for heinous regimes around the world.
Yeah.
And let me just say, I'm so hot in here. I'm sorry. I'm talking to you that time. So one of the things that struck me also was that she kept citing examples of slaves that people went through. There was a professor and maybe another professor, an engineer, a cardiologist's wife. And she kept doing this from the perspective of as people like herself, successful professionals, undergoing, these indignities. But I do feel like she was very in touch with the people who are not of that class. That it's not just about colorism. That there was a kind of a tone deafness to class, or it was an incomplete story that she was telling. Things are so much worse for us. She gets to ride on planes in first class. She gets to be a reporter for the New York Times. And those people that, the professor who got cited, he's a professor, for goodness sake. Most of us don't use Facebook.
Yeah.
And so the picture is even grimmer than what she paints. And she could have made some effort, I think, to look at how the majority of us are living.
Yeah, I agree, fam. I want to thank you so much for calling in, but I absolutely agree. And I think she looks at like why it happened a lot. And it's just like, why this happened to me on the plane and why this happened to me here. And it's just kind of like, I don't think that's the right lens to kind of look through it. I think the lens to kind of see it is like, it's some of those incidents. I don't like to judge people because people go through what they go through. But I also feel like in the incidents where she was mistreated, I think you have to, I just feel like you have to stand up for yourself a little bit more. Because that's kind of, if somebody was lynched and all that stuff and they still went through it, you have to, and that was kind of, maybe that's a personal peeve of mine. But that was just something. Fam, I think I'm going to take one more call. If you don't go through, I will probably do just like, because the network kept messing up. If you didn't get through, I will do like an hour tomorrow, not long, but just for people who didn't get through, because we lost a lot, with the internet doing whatever the internet did for itself. But we'll take the last call, and tomorrow for about an hour. I'll remind y'all tomorrow, not long, 9:30 to 10:30, and we'll just be out of here. Because I have a forum at 7, an online forum, so I'll do that at 7. That should be finished by 9. And 9:30 we'll do it, and then we'll just be done. But this kind of so we'll do a part 2 tomorrow at 9:30, because the internet was just a beast. So let me go to my last call for tonight. Tomorrow night we will do an hour from about 9:30 to 10:30. If you're in here, everybody's in here. The call line is full. If you're in here, call tomorrow, because I'm going to the last call right now. Call tomorrow, and we will finish the conversation. I'm going to 803 right now. 803, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello, Yvette. This
Hey.
is Evelyn.
Hey,
I'm
what's going on,
calling from South Carolina.
What's going on? How you doing?
I am in the chat as ADUS Sumter, South Carolina. So I'm
Okay.
in Clyburn Country.
All right. Fish fry time. Hush puppies.
All right. So what I wanted to focus on in the book is chapter 26, 27, and 28.
Okay.
So in the 26th chapter, I kind of summarized that as white fragility and white sacrifice.
Oh.
So the thing I got from that was the fact that they would, one story of the guy killing himself because he couldn't live if Obama won.
Yeah.
That was one thing that I was like, wow.
Well,
So, the fact that they were willing to sacrifice personal gain to maintain white supremacy and the caste.
Yeah,
that was wow. But yeah, that was stood out with me. And then chapter 27, I titled that was all about the Confederacy, and I did not know that they gave what his name, Landry, with bringing down those monuments. Construction companies would not take the job. White construction companies, and then that the black construction company that did do it covered themselves up so they couldn't know what color they were. I mean, I thought that was wild as well. And the fact that, they contrast that with, of course, what she did with Nazi Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And then chapter 28, where she talked about choosing whether they choose democracy or whiteness, and they chose whiteness as far not, as opposed to democracy, because even though they were still going through the same things we were going through, but to preserve the caste, they voted against their own interests.
Mm-hmm.
And a previous caller touched on what I wanted to say, but that's why I'm glad I
apologize. If you
all right, Yvette, I sent you the DM.
Oh, you're back. Go. You're back. Finish your thought before the internet decide to cut us off again, and we can get out of here.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah. So I wanted to hear. I listened to some of her interviews, and then she was talking about the cast being the bones. So what I wanted to say was the reason why you have I'm thinking why you had an issue with the radical empathy is because throughout history it took white people to get on board and pass the Civil Rights Act. She talked about in the interview about 1866, all the civil rights. So as soon as they a critical mass of white people come to their senses, then laws are passed. But then there's a backlash, and the white people then do what did he do? Like with the Voting Rights Act, right? They gutted the Voting Rights Act.
They undo it. Yeah, they just it's 2 steps forward and 4 steps backward. That's what they do. One group of white people develop
do a retrenchment.
Yeah. So that's
and
not
so
good.
that's been the history of our country.
Yep.
So I thought that was interesting, but that's why I'm thinking that's why she titled that part about radical empathy. So it's going to take white people coming on board, but whereas you're saying we don't have time for that.
Yeah.
You know what you need to do.
And,
give us these reparations. Just vote.
Yeah.
I mean, your inner demons, that's on you, but you know what you are.
And the other thing I would say is that we do have leverage, right? So not only the vote, but I think even the way we interact with people, you don't get to watch all these black men, strong black men on TV all the time and cheer, and you got black people living this way. It's a lot of leverage, even in terms of our vote and what we're involved with and all this kind of stuff, that we don't ever leverage. Like, even when I talk about when we talk about vote Democratic down ballot, like I said yesterday, if you don't like the Democrats that you have and you want to vote further down ballot, that's fine. Like, if you don't want to vote for nobody but the dog catcher, that's fine. We have never really leveraged our vote. We have just kind of said, well, we know we can't vote Republican, which is true for the most part, right? Especially now in Trump's America. But that don't mean we got to just hand our vote to whoever if they're not. We have never really, like, in the modern era, to me, taken the vote seriously and said, no, I'm not doing this. I'm going to show up, and I'm going to show you that I can show up and I can still vote for the dog catcher and vote for the ballot initiative against gentrification or whatever, but I'm not voting for you. I was here, I just wasn't here for you. And I just don't think we have leveraged the vote like we need to leverage the vote. But I think you're right about what you pointed out, because it puts us at the, instead of empowering us, it puts us at the whims of white emotion and white sympathy and empathy.
Right.
And I think we have been there for a long time, and I think we have to try to maneuver in a way that allows us to use the leverage that we have and say, listen, you're not going to have this voting block. You're going to be disempowered. You're not going to be in the White House unless you agree to this. And we will be willing to let whoever's in the White House because we're in the bottom anyway. So if you want to play this game, let's play it.
Right. And like she said Trump was laser focused on his base.
Yeah. Ain't nobody ever laser focused on us.
The Democrats devalue their base, which would be us.
Yep.
So, and that's where that's where we are with that. So
absolutely.
But like you said, we just have to force them, and voting down ballot, I think, will do it. But like you said, if we get enough people to do that,
absolutely.
That's the thing.
Well, we just got to keep growing. Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. Those were good points. But what has to happen is that we just have to keep growing. We just have to keep growing, and that doesn't happen overnight. That doesn't happen. Whatever, we just got to keep growing. We have grown our influence. We have put reparations and a transformative black agenda on the national radar in 3 years. What do you think happens in 4, 5, 6, 10? What do you think the world looks like? So we just have to keep doing what we're doing, fam. If you did not get through tonight, I'm gonna end it right here, because the internet decides that we can't read books with Negroes and that we can't read no books and we just need to be watching TV. So maybe the internet will feel differently tomorrow and let us read and talk about what we read. Like I said 9:30-ish tomorrow, which probably means 9:45. But I'm probably only going to do an hour worth of calls, no summary. And we will still have the conversation tomorrow night about the book club, because the internet has messed us all the night. It is acting up something furious. So if you are on the line, I'm about to hang up the line, but if you are on the line, I know you're in there. I apologize. Look at this thing. Now, went out again. Now we back. See, this thing just goes in and out. It's just a whimsical tonight. It's just whimsical. I thought it was finished. It was gone. It popped up. Anyway, fam, let me go. Tomorrow night, 9:30-ish, we will do about an hour to finish our discussion, because we didn't get but till about 5 calls, and that was a problem. So I will see you all tomorrow night. All right. Be easy breezy. Take care of yourself, fam, and hit the like button. Thank you.